Today, I wanted to talk to you all about the all-new 2023 Dodge Challenger SRT Demon 170. So I know by now this car is kind of old news, but I figured I'd let the dust settle and let all the information come through and then give you guys all the information that I know as well as my own personal thoughts on the Demon 170. So as you all know, about a year ago, I made a video talking about how 2023 is going to be the last year of the Hemi V8 ever. Now, Dodge made this Demon 170 as a send-off vehicle, but they've also made like 6 other last call Challengers, indicating that those would be the last V8 Challenger. So now that the SRT Demon 170 is released and we all know what it's going to be, I'm wondering if this will be the actual true last call, the last V8 Hemi ever made. Now, there also have been rumors of the 392 Wrangler continuing into 2024 with just an upgraded interior, upgraded grille, and just some minor design elements to it. So I'm really hoping that they continue with the V8 for 2024 for the Wranglers, but as for Dodge, I'm really not sure if 2023 will truly be the last year, but that's definitely what it looks like from the look of it. So on to some quick facts for the Dodge Challenger SRT Demon 170. It's supposed to have 1,025 horsepower at 6,500 RPMs. Now, it's insane how far these modern muscle cars and just modern cars have come in the past few years. We went from seeing, the base Hellcat in 2015 making 707 horsepower, supercharged 6.2 liter V8 Hemi, and we thought that was going to be, the end of it. Like, that's the peak of muscle cars. Fast forward like 8 more years and we're at 1,000 horsepower. That's like the benchmark for now. So 1,025 horsepower. And I think that's absolutely insane that they're able to squeeze out that much horsepower out of a Challenger. It also has 945 pound-feet of torque at 4,200 RPMs. So, very close, 1,025 horsepower to 945 pound-feet of torque. And what blows my mind the most about the Challenger Demon 170 is the 0 to 60 time. So it's supposed to have a 0 to 60 time of 1.66 seconds, which is, once again, absolutely insane. And that time will make the Demon 170 the world's fastest production car ever. So if you look at, something like the Tesla Model S Plaid, I believe the 0 to 60 on that thing was like 1.9 seconds. So I can't even imagine, 1.6 seconds, especially from a car that weighs a little bit over 4,200 pounds. It just blows my mind. I can't even imagine what that would actually feel like. Now, with 1.66 seconds to 0 to 60, it also pulls 2 Gs of acceleration, which of course also is very insane, and I can't even imagine what that would feel like. And as for some quarter mile times, it's supposed to do the quarter mile in 8.91 seconds at 151 miles per hour. Now, I'll admit, I don't know every single drag racing rule out there, but whenever the Demon first came out in 2018, it actually got banned by the NHRA for being too fast. Now, I believe the rule there was that it was, under 9 seconds to the quarter mile, but it didn't have a roll cage. Either that or a parachute. I can't remember exactly which one, but one of those 2 rules were broken, and the Demon got banned from the NHRA. And the CEO of Dodge, Tim Kuniskis, actually was happy about that because he was able to use that as a marketing advantage. So, being able to say that the NHRA banned your new car just shows people that it's that insane that it had to be banned. Now in 2023, with the Demon 170 coming out, the CEO of Dodge, Tim Kuniskis, he said his goal was to get it banned again because it would just be that cool to have his new car being banned by the NHRA again. It would just make it seem like it's that much of an insane car. And keep in mind, all those times that I just mentioned are on a prepped surface. So if you're just out on the streets, it's probably going to break the tires loose pretty easily. But speaking of tires, I also wanted to mention that it does come with Mickey Thompson drag radials. So the fronts are going to be 245s and the rears are going to be 315s. So yeah, you definitely do need those wide tires, especially for a vehicle that weighs 4,200 pounds and has over 1,000 horsepower. You definitely do want a nice meaty tire to actually be able to handle all that power and actually be able to put it down and put it to use. Now, like I said, on the street, it's probably not going to be super usable. You're just going to break the tires loose. And I definitely know that from firsthand experience with the Challenger Scat Pack that I had. That thing had 245s and it only had 470 wheel horsepower. And I could break those tires loose extremely easily, way too easily. So imagine having something with over double the horsepower and 315 tires. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how that thing is going to handle on the actual street. Production for the Demon 170 is going to be limited to 3,300 models at most, and that's based on the production capacity. So 300 of those are going to be going to Canada, and then of course the remaining 3,000 are obviously going to be going to the United States. The US MSRP is around $96,000, 666. Nice number there, 666 for the Demon. So in Canada, it's going to have an MSRP of $134,785. So one thing that they actually improved on with the Demon 170 is, you know, obviously they wanted to make the wheels lighter, but they also wanted to distribute the weight more efficiently. So their goal was to actually make the overall, like the outside of the rim, super light, and then they wanted to focus most of the weight of the wheel towards the center, because that way it makes it a lot more efficient and makes it, you know, just easier to spin if all the weight is centered towards the middle of the wheel that way. So if you actually are a 2018 Demon owner, you can actually place an order for the new 2023 Demon 170. And if you do that, you'll actually have the opportunity to request to match your original SRT Demon VIN number. So basically, if you have the original Demon and you get a 2023 Demon 170, you can actually get the same exact VIN number to match your 2018 Demon. So, you know, I think that's very cool of Dodge to do that. The Demon 170 does have a flex fuel system, which is very good because you don't have to, you know, always measure out your ethanol content in your fuel. And you're also able to run 91 octane and 93 octane. So the amount of horsepower output that you get, you know, pretty much depends on a lot of different factors, but it highly depends on the type of fuel that you put in it. So even with only 91 octane, this engine can make around 900 horsepower. And of course, if you do put E85 in it, then that's when you're able to unleash the full 1,025 horsepower. And although the new Demon 170 might look very similar to the original Demon from 2018, it actually does have a lot of different improvements. Now, pretty much the entire car is redesigned, and of course it does still have the same, you know, 6.2 liter V8 Hemi, but there are a lot of improvements to the engine and of course the entire car as well. So it's basically an entirely redesigned car, because whenever you're adding, you know, that much more horsepower to a vehicle, you can't just put in more horsepower and expect it to work. You have to change a lot of other things to actually make it work. So the 170 has a lot of new internals, and pretty much the only significant engine part that carries over from the 2018 Demon is just the camshaft. The new Demon 170 also has a bigger 105mm throttle body. It also comes with a 3-liter supercharger, which is a modified version of the supercharger found on the Elephant Crate engine, which produces 21.3 pounds of boost pressure and is a lot more than the previous Demon, which was around 14.5 psi from the 2.7-liter supercharger. Now onto the driveline, they did also make the drive shaft 30% stronger and the rear axle housing 53% stronger. The differential also has larger ring and pinion gears, and the transmission still has 8 gears, but they did improve the trans brake on the Demon 170. Now, the way Tim Kuniskis described the new trans brake is basically that you can pretty much tune the car on your own with the software that's already in the car. Basically, on the LCD screen that comes in the car, it has the setting where it shows you the actual torque curve of the car as you're making a quarter-mile pass, for example. And if you see that maybe the tires break loose from the 1 to 2 shift, then you can, you know, change the settings right in between those 2 shifts and try it again. Just like a test and tune session, except you don't have to break out the huge laptop. You can literally do everything on the screen of the, you know, the touch screen that comes on the car, which I think is a very cool addition to the new Demon 170. People who are hardcore drag racers will still want to, you know, have the full capability of coming to a test and tune with an actual laptop and a full tuning software that they, you know, trust and rely on. But I think it is cool for people who are, you know, wanting to get into drag racing to have the opportunity to actually be able to tune their cars like within the car, like on the software of the car. And just like with the 2018 Demon, the Demon 170 does only come standard with a driver's seat, but of course, like in the past, you can add an optional passenger seat. And what I thought was pretty funny with the 2018 Demon is that it only costs $1 to get the optional passenger side seat. So I would think that most Demon owners will go ahead and just get that passenger seat, because of course once you get it you can just remove it either way. So I would say it's probably better to just have it and remove it, just in case you want to add it on later on. Because one thing about the Demon 170 is that if you don't actually get the optional passenger side seat from the factory, then they actually disable the airbags on the passenger side. So that might just make it a little bit more difficult to actually add the passenger seats later on if you don't actually get it that way from the factory. Now, as for my own personal thoughts on the Demon 170, I think it's going to be the best send-off to any car that we've ever seen. Now, Dodge has been hyping this up for the past few years, and even back to 2015 with the original Hellcat, like I said before, we all thought that was the peak of muscle cars. But then fast forward 8 years later, and now, like I said, 1,000 horsepower is the new benchmark. It's the new normal for any type of performance car. If you don't have 1,000 horsepower, then it's not fast for today's standards. I also do think that Dodge is doing a very good job at marketing all these cars, because like I said, they've had about 6 different last call, or whatever they call them, the final call challengers. And I'm sure a bunch of people raced over to the dealerships to place their orders for those last call models, thinking that those would be the last ones ever produced. But then they came out with the Demon 170, and I'm sure people are going to be racing to the dealerships, and there's probably going to be huge markups, probably up to like $200,000, probably very similar to what we've seen with the C8 Z06. Now, it's very insane that this is actually happening, but at the same time, I do understand it, because V8s are going away, as much as I hate to say that. Hopefully we'll turn around and go back to V8s here in the next few years if we're lucky enough. But the way it's going right now, V8s are definitely on their way out. So I definitely do think that the V8 enthusiasts are just trying to scoop them up as quickly as they can to have them and be able to enjoy them once they are no longer being produced. I know I definitely wanted to do that with my Wrangler 392. I wanted to get a V8. I was hoping it was the last model that they produced, but the rumor now is that the 2024 model year of the Wrangler will also include a new 392. So it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens. I don't know if anybody knows when the last official year of the V8s is going to be, but at least for Dodge, for the Challengers and Chargers, it seems like 2023 is going to be the official last year of the V8 Hemi. And I think coming out with a 1,025 horsepower Challenger, I think that's definitely the best way to send it off, especially making it the world's fastest production car, 0 to 60 of 1.6 seconds. That's mind-blowing. Can't even imagine that. Even faster than a Tesla Model S Plaid. And to be honest, I didn't think anything was going to be able to beat that for the next few years. So definitely a very insane time that we are living in right now. But I know we thought 2015 was the peak of muscle cars, but I really think right now is the actual peak of muscle cars, because right after the Demon 170 stops being produced, I really don't think there's anything else that's going to come out after that. And yeah, we still have the 2024 Mustang coming out with the V8, but that's nowhere close to the Demon 170. So, I really do think, like I said, the Demon 170 is the peak of muscle car performance from the factory, at least. And, they're definitely going to be going for huge markups once they stop producing them. Once they stop producing V8s in general, then they're going to be the new classics, and they're going to skyrocket in value very quickly, I think. So I'm definitely interested to hear your thoughts on this whole situation down in the comments below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this quick video of the Demon 170. Wanted to give you guys some quick facts on the car and also talk about my own personal opinions of the car. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe for more XJ and 392 Wrangler videos. And thanks again for watching.